Trinity and Lucifer, D.G. Wonder First Series, written by D.G. Lampaulus, Mundus Vetus. Chapter 1. Born.
In the beginning of the universe, everything was still and dark. Colors slowly emerged as the universe went from nothing to something. This stage was known as the infinite void, where there was no matter, space, or time. The infinite void was the origin of the universe, a state of boundlessness and formlessness. But one day, a small change occurred, and it had a tremendous impact on the entire universe. It was almost as if it had been planned and destined. A tiny beam of light suddenly appeared in the midst of the infinite void, giving birth to the first and only life in the universe. This life was small and weak, but it was the only light and life in the empty and dark universe. This was the Infinity Soul, the first and beginning of all life and souls in the universe. The Infinity Soul grew dynamically and expanded at an infinite speed, creating the flow of time and the dimensions of space in the once static universe. The universe went from nothing to something, from stillness to movement, and from death to life. As the Infinity Soul grew, it was like a fetus in its mother's womb. After a period of nurturing, it finally grew its first eye. The Eye of Infinite was golden, bright, and pure, shining like a star in the universe. The Eye of Infinite was the first life in the universe to start exploring the cosmos through its eyes. It learned about everything by observing and experiencing. Unlike our human eyes, the Eye of Infinite wasn't limited to seeing low-dimensional matter. It could see the value and meaning behind everything. It could also see multidimensional space and time, as well as all the possible outcomes of everything in the universe at once. After an unknown period of time, the infinite expansion and growth of the Eye of Infinite created a complete soul and body. Another pair of crystal-clear eyes grew along with its body, one blue and one green. The green eye was called oneness, while the blue eye was called zero. Oneness and zero represented creation and destruction, life and death, and beginning and end. They were both one and the same, yet opposites. As the three windows to the soul awakened and became aware, the Eye of Infinite began to understand itself on a deeper level. It was a life with three personalities, one essence, and three in one. The Eye of Infinite was grateful for the nurturing of the universe's mother. And at that moment, the universe's mother also realized that everything had started to change in the present moment, from the smallest to the largest. As the life grew and its body became stronger, it also started to have independent thoughts. During this growth process, it realized that it was the only one in the universe, the infinite free will of everything, the core of all power, and the creative force of all life. It was both amazed by its abilities and existence, but also lonely. It had infinite power to create anything it wanted, but no one to share its abilities and glory with. This power gave it endless confidence, which began to expand infinitely within its heart. Its loneliness, pride, fear, and arrogance twisted into a knot, and this endless conflict began to make it lose balance. Its pride and inner loneliness clashed, as it had power but lacked sharing, and had authority but feared losing it. This conflict continued to expand infinitely, and it was becoming hard to breathe. It kept questioning, challenging, and reflecting on itself in a painful inner turmoil. Who am I? Why am I here? What's the point of my existence? Where am I headed next? These mind-boggling questions kept circling in its mind, and its struggle had grown to a point where the universe could no longer contain it. Suddenly, there was a loud boom, and the entire universe underwent a massive explosion. After the explosion, this three-in-one life form, which was previously expanding infinitely, began to contract at an infinite speed, rapidly returning to its starting point. It shrank into the initial singularity of the universe, a state that was smaller than dust and the tiniest speck of light. It condensed into the first black hole in the universe, and life was sucked into the abyss. In the darkness, it began to understand some truths. It was no longer restless, no longer conflicted, and slowly began to grasp its own worth. During its slumber, life had a long and winding dream. It was trapped in the abyss of a black hole, where it couldn't see a thing. It was pitch black, silent, and it felt as if it had reverted to the state of nothingness. It had the opportunity to start life anew, but this time, it had to truly fathom the value of its existence in the abyss's darkness. Only then could it awaken from this heavy and prolonged slumber. After enduring the struggle and pain of its first growth, this life form became stronger and wiser. It understood that to escape the abyss, it had to remain lucid and calm. It unleashed the potential of the 𝕿𝖈𝖎𝖙𝖊𝖚. It gradually mastered the laws of balance in the universe, light and darkness, life and death, motion and stillness, floating and sinking, joy and sorrow, big and small, and their relative cycles. Everything in the universe had two complementary and opposing aspects. From the 𝕿𝖈𝖎𝖙𝖚, it perceived all of the possibilities in the universe. From the instant of creation to destruction, the intervening process contained infinite diversity. There was creation after destruction, growth after experience, appreciation after loss, and happiness after pain. In this process, it realized its value, identity, and role. Ultimately, it was the chosen life form to be born, and its appearance was not by chance but by necessity. It learned and grew in the darkness, from fear to gratitude, from resistance to acceptance. Its life originated from light, so it had to recognize itself in the darkness. During this journey through the abyss, life awakened and realized its name was Trinity, signifying the three-in-one God who created everything. Trinity gradually emerged from its slumber, understanding that it was about to leave the universe's mother's embrace and construct its own universe. This time, it awakened from its slumber, returning from the darkness of the abyss. It had undergone a transformation, seen through and comprehended the mysteries of the universe, understood the value of its existence, and comprehended the connection between its true self and nature.
Chapter 2. Praise. At this moment, Trinity understood the balance of all things in the world. It saw through life and death, beginning and end, prosperity and decline. It was the source and origin of all things, with infinite creativity to create and destroy. Through rebirth, it delved into the workings of the universe and understood the entire cosmos and the causal relationships behind it. It created light from the darkness, distinguishing between day and night, and used the weather of the 4 seasons to differentiate between the stages of life: spring birth, summer growth, autumn harvest, and winter rest. It also divided the sky and earth, ocean and oasis, sun, moon, and stars, filling the world with colors and different elements. To celebrate the joy of creating and multiplying all things, Trinity used wind and fire to create the evangelist angels, who were guardians of its court and sang the praises of all that was beautiful. They were the highest life forms in the universe, possessing free will, emotions, and powerful bodies that could appear in 3-dimensional material space or even higher-dimensional spiritual states. To create a perfect 6-winged evangelist angel, Trinity molded Lucifer according to its ideal direction. She was the most beautiful, perfect, and capable of all the evangelist angels.
Lucifer, I want all the angels to sing praises for you. You will sit next to my throne, admired by all. You will become a legend, and your deeds will be remembered for all time. You are my most successful and outstanding creation, and you'll always be above all others.
When Lucifer first opened her eyes, she saw Trinity and heard its first words to her. She was deeply moved and grateful to the God who gave her life. She looked at her hands and touched her face, finding it hard to believe her own existence. Trinity looked at Lucifer, joyfully embracing its perfect creation and eager to bestow all the good things upon her. After Lucifer, Trinity created a huge army of evangelist angels. It pointed to Lucifer and the team, saying, "She is your leader. You must follow her words, which are what I want to say to you." For a long time, Lucifer enjoyed the greatest glory. Her team grew larger, and her power increased. She rapidly developed, never falling from her glory and privileges. She enjoyed the admiration and singing of thousands of people, reveling in the glory of her team. To stand out even more, she constantly elevated her own abilities, becoming an unbeatable six-winged angel, a legend in the world of evangelist angels. Lucifer was given the same abilities and wisdom as Trinity, the only difference being that she lacked the ability to create life. She always led the angels to sing the praises of Trinity's greatness and the joy of the world's prosperity. However, this lofty glory of being above all others could not last forever. Lucifer is considered the masterpiece among all the angels, crafted in the image of God's perfect ideal. God had high expectations for her, imparting all of his knowledge and wisdom to her, and expected all the angels to praise everything that he created through Lucifer's leadership. She possessed immense power and glory, but she also experienced feelings of confidence and pride, fear and jealousy, much like God himself. Behind her supreme glory, she feared losing everything she had gained, and the inner turmoil and struggles took a long time to settle. One day, Lucifer heard a distant voice in her dreams. The voice seemed to come from the depths of the universe and shook her mind. It sang praises of Lucifer, praising her as the unique essence of the universe, the most outstanding and capable soul among all living beings and spiritual realms.
Why does such an exceptional six-winged archangel like you willingly obey God's orders, Lucifer? You have more than enough ability to lead the entire universe. Your power surpasses his, and all the angels are waiting for your boundless leadership. Think about why God restricts your ability to create life, even though you have unlimited free will. Unfortunately, you cannot create more archangels. God is afraid of you, and he knows that your abilities surpass his. He also knows that all the angels look up to you. God is just a God who talks but cannot do anything. He actually has no abilities. He has been using you and other archangels to protect him by claiming to create you all. Lucifer, your team has grown, and it is time to gather your own army and overthrow the current corrupt regime. I know you are dissatisfied with many of God's decisions. It is time for revolution.
Who are you? Why are you telling me all this? Am I like an unfaithful angel? How can I betray my God, who created me with his own hands?
You don't need to hide anything from me. Be yourself. No one in this world knows you better than me. Because I am your deepest desire, and you can call me invincible in battle.
After waking up, the voice in Lucifer's dream echoed through her mind, stirring up a deep desire within her that she couldn't shake. She felt like she was falling into a dark abyss ever since the voice appeared in her dream. The more she thought about the orders and decisions given by God, the more dissatisfied and rebellious she became. It was like a crack in her soul that kept expanding, drawing her further in. Her pride and ambition grew endlessly, causing a painful pressure to build up inside her, ready to burst out. Lucifer started to question why God gave her unlimited glory. Was it just to strengthen his own power and control? Did he want to use her honor to capture and bind her loyalty, to limit her freedom of thought? Was he trying to maintain his reign by robbing her of the ability to create life, to prevent anyone from challenging his rule? If she lost her value to him, she could be cast aside and thrown into the depths of oblivion. She had to be prepared for what was to come. Chapter 3: Revolution.
Lucifer was a six-winged angel that Trinity had carefully nurtured, and was the angel who resembled himself the most and held the greatest hope. Today, Trinity had to make the most difficult decision, and he spent the whole night unable to sleep because he knew that when the sun rose tomorrow, the six-winged angel who had accompanied him for so long would rise up in rebellion. He would have to bid farewell to this beloved gospel angel in heaven forever. And tomorrow he would raise a new leader to lead Michael's army under the banner of justice to overthrow Lucifer's revolution and take back everything that had been given to her. The sunrise was imminent, and the day of the great battle was approaching. Lucifer led a group of dissatisfied angels to form a resistance force against the current regime. Trinity hung the banner of justice and reorganized the Gospel Angel Legion. the army of angels led by Michael was also preparing for battle at any time. The 7 archangels closest to Trinity were Michael, like God, he symbolizes justice. Gabriel, God's helper, he uses loving light to bring peace and comfort to the soul. Raphael, God's healing, possessing the art of medicine and knowledge bestowed by God. Uriel, God's light, possessing magic, alchemy, astrology, the consciousness of the universe, and even climate change in nature. Raguel, God's friend, who integrates and arranges the work and balance of the angels. Sariel, evil eye, protecting the souls of people from sin and pollution, and also the gospel angel in charge of the moon. Ramiel, God's mercy, guiding the soul of man towards the final judgment, responsible for conveying the instructions of the 7 archangels. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel are also the archangels of the gospel angels. At sunrise, Trinity called on Michael to summon all gospel angels to his great hall. In no time, the angels were lined up neatly in front of him, and he held a newly created eternal spirit that shone brightly. Trinity preached,
This soul is my son, my only begotten son, and a part of my own body. He is the holy son of all of you angels. Although he is still an unformed new life, he is a life that has been nurtured and born from my eternal spirit over the years. You should all worship before the Holy Spirit because he is the Holy Son of my Trinity and represents me.
At this moment, Lucifer felt the powerful force of this soul and instantly sensed a threat to her own future. Before Lucifer could return to God, Trinity had already commanded all the angels to kneel before his holy Son. At this moment, Lucifer truly realized that she was no longer the only one and her glory had been taken away. All the gospel angels were created through wind and fire, but the Holy Spirit before them was sourced from Trinity's own soul, an irreplaceable position. When all the angels kneeled before the Holy Son, Lucifer's mind went blank, and she did not realize how quickly she would lose favor. Although she was mentally prepared, when she faced the reality, Lucifer was still extremely sad and shocked, unable to accept everything before her. Her jealousy and anger burned her whole being, confirming everything the abyssal desire had said. At this moment, she had completely lost her reason. All Lucifer could think of in her mind at this moment was to overthrow the current regime and the corrupt and absurd government. She was the first to stand up and oppose kneeling before the Holy Spirit. She objected to the noble gospel angels kneeling before the still-growing soul at this moment. She spoke out against Trinity's dictatorship, disrespect, and exploitation of all the angels in front of everyone. She rallied all the people, calling on the gospel angels who loved freedom to rise up together in rebellion. Lucifer angrily spoke,
My dear comrades, look at this mad god in front of us. What is he doing? We have always followed him and used our lives to protect him. What have we gotten in the end? Today, he even demands that we kneel before a soul that hasn't even grown the eternal eye. We are noble gospel angels, and we have always had Trinity as our faith in our hearts. Look at how this God treats us today in front of us.
Trinity felt extremely humiliated and drove Lucifer out of the temple on the spot. This was the spark that ignited the fuse, and Trinity and Lucifer understood that their relationship could never go back to the way it was before. At this point, Lucifer had already gathered a group of gospel angels who shared her ideology, and with the uproar of all the angels present, the gospel angels split into 2 major camps under the leadership of Lucifer and Michael. With 1/3 of the angels rising up in rebellion with Lucifer, they confronted Michael's army of angels on the edge of the sky. This was the epic battle recorded in mythology, known as the war between God and the devil. After countless days and nights of fighting, the war resulted in heavy casualties. Ultimately, Michael's army of angels emerged victorious and captured Lucifer and his followers. Trinity banished Lucifer and his cohorts, making them fallen angels, forever exiling them from the angelic kingdom and casting them directly into hell. From then on, heaven and hell became irreconcilable. Lucifer organized the Satan army in the kingdom of hell, specifically to tempt and incite gospel angels, organizing and recruiting believers who were dissatisfied with Trinity. Under the name of Satan, the banner of righteousness was raised in hell, calling for freedom and desire, with the ultimate goal of overthrowing Trinity's corrupt regime.
Chapter 4. Sleeping. After the battle, Trinity felt exhausted both physically and mentally. Even though he had already known the outcome of everything in the multiverse and knew that Lucifer would betray him and become Satan as a sentient being, he still felt deeply saddened to have sent her to hell with his own hands. However, Trinity understood that this was his value and role that he had realized in the abyss during the beginning of the universe. In the process of grieving, he gradually fell asleep and entered a dreamland. Child, child, my good child.
Who is it? Is it the mother of the universe? Mother, where are you?
I have always been in your embrace, and I have never left you.
I haven't heard your voice for a long time. I remember since I was born, but since then, I have existed alone in the universe. I call out in the universe, but no one answers. In the boundless darkness, all I hear is my own echo.
Child, you are a god in your world, an omnipotent creator and the source of all life. Before your appearance, my universe was shrouded in darkness, and I was waiting for you to come. When you were born, the universe lit up with light, and all living things came into being. Do you remember what I taught you at the beginning of your birth? The universe was born from the Wuji state and gave birth to the 𝕆𝚱. The 𝕆𝚱 then developed into the 𝕷𝚚𝖈𝖎𝖙𝖋 of yin and yang. Wuji is the state of the universe before it is formed, when everything is still in a state of chaos. The beginning of 𝕆𝚱 represents the original order of the universe and the birth of new life. However, at this time, 𝕆𝚱 contains both the energy of darkness and light within a single entity, and it is not until the birth of 𝕷𝚚𝖈𝖎𝖙 that the qi of yin and yang balance and alternate. You must learn to grasp the energy of these two poles, as they complement and counterbalance each other. The balance of positive and negative 𝕷𝚎𝖈𝖎 is the fundamental law of the universe's survival and the emergence of all things. Your life begins with nothingness and ends with existence, starting with stillness and ending with motion, starting with darkness and ending with light. This is the opposition of two extremes, but also their mutual embrace. You are like this, and so will be the life you create in the future. Your life is destined to be different. You are unique in the universe. You must grow from the darkness of the abyss, and you must face and conquer it, embrace and accept it. Only in this way can you master the power of light and darkness and unleash the power of balance between 𝕷𝚎𝖎𝖎𝖙 to ensure the eternal growth of the universe. You are both darkness and light, life and death.
Mother, I understand the responsibility I have to bear, the role I have to play. But I am also a life with emotions. I will feel sad, weak, run away, and lost. Sometimes, I want to be relieved of this responsibility, to give up this ability. Being a god who possesses both ability and responsibility is so conflicted and lonely. I would rather be an ordinary life, living a simple life that I want. I can view the entire universe from a higher dimensional perspective. I can see the past, present, and future worlds at this moment. I can see all infinite timelines and possibilities in all multiverses. I can see the relationships and causality of every choice. But this ability makes me bear great responsibility and tremendous pressure at the same time. I understand that maintaining the balance and operation of the entire universe requires making choices. But who will understand and sympathize with me in this balance of choices, which requires me to shoulder the responsibility of life and death in the universe? Just like how difficult it was for me to send my beloved Lucifer to hell, but I could not change it, and in the end, I had to bear this pain alone. Sometimes I would rather jump into hell myself and bear it. But unfortunately, I can foresee the outcome of becoming a demon myself. I can predict that Lucifer will always remain a six-winged angel. I understand that the choice I make is the best decision for the balance of the universe and the inevitable result for natural balance. If I intentionally violate and change this development, the entire universe will ultimately become unbalanced.
Strong child, do not underestimate yourself. Your uniqueness requires inner strength. Although you sit before the gates of heaven, your heart still worries about the suffering in hell. Although you tower above the clouds, you still empathize with the suffering on the ground. The most valuable ones are those who can bear all the responsibilities in the universe, even if other beings may not understand it at the moment. But you know this is the right path, so stick to it. The laws of the universe are a necessary arrangement. The Trinity embankment must become the Trinity embankment, and Lucifer must become Lucifer. You have seen the universe where you become Lucifer, and you have also seen the universe where you become the current Trinity embankment. Today's choice is the best arrangement of everything. The universe must have darkness, and it must also have light. You were born in darkness and grew into light, while Lucifer was born in light and grew into darkness. You emerged from nothingness and became everything, while she went from having everything to losing it all. Light and darkness, movement and stillness, life and death should not be a struggle or exclusion, but a coexistence. Fighting only leads to mutual destruction, while complementing each other leads to mutual dependence. You should not only see the surface occurrence of events, but also the values and meanings behind them. You and Lucifer will become one light and one darkness, maintaining the balance of the world. Child, always remember this. When you feel powerless and exhausted, I have always been with you. Look at the pair of footprints under your knees. That's me carrying you, walking through the vast universe and leaving the best mark. After speaking these words, the voice of the Mother of the Universe disappeared into the boundless space.
Mother, please don't go. I have many more things to share with you. It turns out I had a dream, such a real dream. In the dream, I met another dream.
Trinity Embankment woke up from the dream and suddenly felt enlightened. He began to feel more relieved. Whether the dream was real or an illusion, he was still grateful. The Mother of his universe helped him understand the meaning and value of his existence. His growth came from experiencing everything in life, whether it was good or bad, success or failure. All counted in his footsteps.
Chapter 5. Promise.
I am the infinity of eyes, a state of awareness beyond my individual perspective and limitations. In this state, I perceive the interconnectedness of all things in the universe and understand their common essence. This understanding helps me transcend human boundaries and find a greater, more meaningful way of existing. From a philosophical and religious perspective, the infinity of eyes may be understood as a kind of revelation in which I become aware of the interconnectedness and unity of all things in the universe. Let me tell you the story of how the infinity of eyes led to Trinity creating the Garden of Eden. When Trinity woke up from its slumber, it was inspired by a speech from the Mother of the Universe. When the universe was still in a state of wuji and chaos, there was only emptiness without the distinction of yin and yang. It was not until the faint light of life broke through the peaceful darkness that the universe moved from the state of wuji to taiji and then to the new state of liui, where there was a distinction between yin and yang, and life began to thrive. Trinity had already divided the creation of the universe into 7 stages, with the first 5 stages including the sun, moon, stars, mountains, rivers, heaven and earth, and the creatures of the sea already in existence. The gospel angels were higher dimensional intelligent life forms created according to Trinity, but unfortunately, they had no distinction of yin and yang and were unable to create or reproduce other life forms. Trinity decided to use dust in accordance with natural law during the 6th stage of creation to create another kind of higher dimensional intelligent life, called Adam and Lilith, who became the world's first pair of men and women. Like the gospel angels, they could possess free consciousness, higher intelligence, and emotional experiences. However, because humans were derived from the yin-yang natural law of taiji in the universe, unlike the gospel angels, humans could create and reproduce life. They were born through dust, just as Trinity had broken through the darkness of the universe with the dust of light. Human beings were born with grace and the ability to create life, but at the same time, Trinity also had to strip away one of the divine abilities granted to human beings. Trinity collected the third eye, the infinity of eyes, which originally belonged to itself and the gospel angels, and stored it in the pineal gland of the human brain until humans succeeded in awakening and were no longer tempted by Satan. Then, the infinity of eyes in humans would open again, and the dimensions would also rise again. Because Adam and Lilith were blocked from the infinity of eyes, they could not survive in the state of the soul and had to live in carriers. They needed to rely on three-dimensional space to survive, so Trinity designed a very beautiful place for humans to live, called the Garden of Eden. There, they had endless food, no need to work hard, eternal life, and no time constraints. Trinity made a pact with Adam and Lilith that they could eat any fruit in the Garden of Eden except for the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Finally, Trinity sent the gospel angels as mediators between God and humanity, and they sang the beauty of the universe in both heaven and the Garden of Eden. Adam and Lilith enjoyed the paradise-like place without paying or working every day, enjoying the gifts granted by Trinity. However, Lilith gradually became dissatisfied with Adam's words and actions, and she did not agree with the position of male superiority and female inferiority. Although Adam was born before her, they were both made from the same soil, and men and women should be equal. She mocked Adam's rudeness and arrogance, and insulted him for living a happy but corrupt life in the Garden of Eden. This decadent and arrogant attitude was like a virus. Once it stuck, it could not be eradicated from the blood. Lucifer heard about the conflict between humans in the Garden of Eden in hell. At this time, she was pleased to see Adam's downfall and saw the conflict between Lilith and Adam. Originally, Lucifer already hated Trinity and the gospel angels around him, but later learned that Trinity created humans. Lucifer decided to seize the opportunity to shatter and destroy everything around Trinity. She wanted to make all angels and humans fall, and she wanted to see Trinity lose everything, crying without tears. Lucifer transformed into a gospel angel and sneaked into the Garden of Eden.
Lilith. Lilith. I am Lucifer, the gospel angel sent by Trinity. Trinity has learned that you and Adam have had a major conflict recently, and he hopes to come to understand and see if there is any way to reconcile the situation.
After listening to Lilith's complaints, Lucifer expressed deep sympathy and also conveyed that Trinity was a god who favored men over women. If Lilith's remarks were to reach Trinity's ears, he would surely punish her. Therefore, Lucifer gave two suggestions: either submit to the authority of Adam's patriarchy and never have any complaints again as a small woman, or assist Lilith in leaving the Garden of Eden and leading her to a safe place.
Lilith, you need to make a decision quickly. I am risking my life to help you leave. After hearing your story, I feel that it is very unfair and unreasonable. If you are willing to become a pet of patriarchy, then stay here obediently and never speak up again. If you want to pursue your equality and freedom and refuse to become someone's attachment, then be brave and leave with me. I promise to take you to a safe place.
When Trinity learned that Lucifer had taken Lilith away from the Garden of Eden, he immediately dispatched the gospel angel 𝕆𝐴𝐴𝐿 to retrieve Lilith. 𝕆𝐴𝐴𝐿 was a name that meant he who sees God, and she assisted humans in finding important parts of their lives. Although Trinity had foreseen the inevitable result of Lilith's departure in the possibility of a multiverse, he still hoped that through 𝕆𝐴𝐴𝐿, spiritual guidance could be instilled into Lilith's soul, so that even if the outcome couldn't be changed, she would not fall into hell with hatred. In the end, Lilith went with Lucifer and was taken to hell to become one of Satan's army. Lilith was granted boundless magic in hell and became the progenitor of all witches, elected in hell to pursue freedom, brave and equal devils. After Lilith escaped from Eden, Trinity saw that Adam was always sulking. He understood that when he created humans, he made them to be partners of both genders, and the combination of the two was complete. Therefore, Trinity decided to create another wife for Adam, Eve, but unlike Lilith, Trinity extracted 7 of Adam's ribs instead of soil to create Eve. Because Eve was born from Adam's elements, she did not have a spirit of female supremacy. She obeyed Adam and served him in the Garden of Eden, and was also informed about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. When Trinity completed everything, the 6th stage of creating everything was also coming to an end. In order to rest and fight against Satan's army for a long time, Trinity made the 7th stage the Sabbath. On the one hand, it was a rest before the long-term battle, and on the other hand, because the creation of all things in the first 6 stages had come to an end, the last stage should be established to praise God's creation. On the eve of Trinity preparing to rest, he summoned Archangel Michael to his side and instructed him on what to do while he rested. When everything was done, Trinity closed the palace gates and underwent thorough rest. The news of Trinity's closed-door rest quickly spread to hell and to Lucifer's ears. She felt that this was a rare opportunity, and Lucifer was eager to act. She had been waiting for the best time to destroy everything that Trinity had created, and she immediately called for a meeting of the 7 leaders of Satan's army to plot and prepare for a revenge plan.
Chapter 6. Revenge. On a cloudless afternoon, I, Lucifer, quietly arrived at the Garden of Eden. This time, Trinity arranged the Archangel Jophiel as a guardian to prevent me from disturbing humans again. However, it was a small matter for me. I simply used a small spell to confuse the guardian angel of the garden. I seized the opportunity and immediately searched for Adam and Eve, waiting for the chance to separate them and cast my spell. The time has come. Eve is walking towards the direction of the tree of knowledge. She should be preparing to pick the fruit for her husband. That lazy Adam is just lying on the grass basking in the sun. No wonder Lilith was determined to leave him. Trinity can create such inferior creatures. It seems Trinity's power is also fading.
When Lucifer saw Eve picking fruit under the tree, preparing food for her husband Adam, she transformed into 𝕷𝖚𝖈𝖎𝖋𝖊𝖗, which is to say Lucifer picked the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge and naturally gave it to Eve. When Eve saw me holding the fruit suddenly standing beside her, she was startled and asked,
"Husband, weren't you lying on the grass far away, basking in the sun just now? I just told you to rest. I came to pick the fruit for you to enjoy."
"My wife, you've worked hard. When I saw your back disappearing just now, I felt sad. How can I let my wife handle these chores every time? Just now, I also collected some fruit nearby. Let me serve you this time. Sit down and enjoy the food I collected."
Under the sweet words of flattery from the disguised Lucifer as Adam, I had no doubts and took the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge in front of me and ate it. At the same time, Lucifer also sent Lilith, disguised as Eve, to give Adam the other forbidden fruit to eat. After we ate the fruit, we suddenly felt enlightened, our eyes opened wide, and we became aware of our nakedness, feeling ashamed. We quickly searched for large leaves nearby to cover our bodies. At that moment, Lucifer and Lilith, disguised as Satan, immediately left the Garden of Eden. Both Adam and I thought that the other had betrayed them, deliberately picking the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge to eat. Adam was yelling and cursing at this time.
"Where are you, Eve? Stop hiding and come out right now. You wicked woman, I always thought you were faithful to me. But it turns out you were scheming all along, waiting for this day to harm me. What have I done to offend you? You know that we made an agreement with Trinity not to touch the fruit on the tree of knowledge. Yet you still picked it and gave it to me to eat. What was your purpose? Did you intend to destroy me and then ask Trinity to create another man for you?"
Adam, open your eyes and see that my situation is just like yours. If I wanted to harm you, would I need to put myself in the same situation as you? Furthermore, I never gave you the forbidden fruit. On the contrary, I was suspicious of you. Why did someone who values male superiority suddenly become so caring and pick fruit for me? I was touched at the time, thinking it was real, but it turns out you were framing me.
Adam and Eve, you have caused a huge disaster by eating the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. Trinity made it clear to you that you could eat the fruit from all the trees here except for the tree of knowledge. You don't need to explain anything to me. I saw with my own eyes that you both offered the forbidden fruit to each other and enjoyed it. I am the gospel angel guarding the Garden of Eden, and I am transmitting a message from Trinity. If I see either of you eating the forbidden fruit again, I will banish you from the Garden of Eden and you will forever be in hell with Satan.
Adam and Eve realized that they had caused a great disaster. They knew that no amount of explanation would help, and they were extremely panicked. I, Lucifer, saw everything under control, and my confidence grew stronger. I decided to make a big move while Trinity was in seclusion. She wanted to destroy the kingdom of heaven at this moment and bring about her own era. Lucifer immediately dispatched 6 commanders of Satan's army, including Mammon, Asmodeus, Samael, Beelzebul, Belphegor, and Abaddon. This time, Satan's army poured out from hell, each leading a large number of troops. They wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to attack the angels' kingdom and deceive the gospel angels. At this moment, the 7 archangels were all guarding Trinity, and it was difficult to attack them directly. Therefore, the Satan's army chose the other important archangels and prepared to destroy the core of the gospel angel army. They wanted to deceive and divide the archangels. If they could defeat all the angel armies at this moment, Trinity would immediately become powerless, even with the 7 archangels by her side. So they selected the following archangels: Metatron, Jophiel, Zadkiel, Ariel, and Sandalphon. These 5 archangels were the most important ones besides the 7 archangels. Lucifer deeply believed that if he could disintegrate the archangels and confuse them, they would switch sides and join Satan's army. This would affect most of the angel armies and cause them to launch a revolution against Trinity. Chapter 7: Artisan.
Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden were trembling with fear. After listening to the words of the gospel angel, we continuously begged for forgiveness while kneeling on the ground. We hope that the angel can convey a message to Trinity and ask him to revoke the commandment, not to drive us out of the Garden of Eden. We were born here and know nothing about the outside world. Adam knew that Lilith had left the Garden of Eden and was ultimately degraded to a witch, forever becoming Satan in hell.
You have committed a great sin against heaven and have not repented. It's too late to ask for forgiveness now. This is the commandment left by Trinity. As the gospel angel guarding the Garden of Eden, I am only strictly executing orders. If you want to blame someone, blame Trinity. Trinity has also left a commandment that if you disobey and leave the Garden of Eden and enter hell, I will crush your souls on the spot and make you disappear forever.
As the gospel angel was still speaking, a figure suddenly appeared behind him and said, "Lilith, how long do you plan to keep pretending here? You dare to break into the Garden of Eden and transform into an angel guarding the garden to deceive Adam and Eve. You are really bold. It was you who chose to flee from the Garden of Eden. Our Archangel Michael even tried to persuade you to come back. At that time, you didn't come even when you were invited, but now you come uninvited. At first, Trinity even asked Archangel Michael to leave a spiritual guide in your soul, hoping that your soul would not be corroded so quickly. It seems that your hatred has been ignited by the fires of hell, and your soul has already been devoured."
As it turns out, standing behind the fake gospel angel Lilith was one of the 7 archangels, Raphael. He exposed Lilith's disguise and stopped her from taking Adam and Eve into hell.
"Lilith, I have been waiting here for a long time. I have been hiding and watching your performance all along. Your acting skills are truly worthy of an Oscar. If there is a chance, I really want to invite you to come to heaven and perform a big show for us. Trinity has long seen through the intentions of your Satan's army and knew that you would infiltrate the Garden of Eden. Don't you find it strange? How could you enter and exit so easily without Trinity's permission? Our Archangel Jophiel is the guardian of the Garden of Eden. Is it really so easy to be deceived by Lucifer? Ha! You have all fallen into the trap. Surrender quickly."
On the other hand, the leader of the Satan army was deceiving the archangels in heaven, and their army had infiltrated the angelic army. They launched an all-out attack with the aim of corrupting and destroying the entire angelic army. As Lucifer and the Satan army were complacent and confident that they were about to defeat the angelic army, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Lucifer and, in lightning fast speed, grabbed him with one hand and threw the other 6 leaders of Satan into the 18th layer of hell. At the same time, a large number of angelic armies were already preparing for battle outside the temple. They pretended to be tempted, letting the Satan army drop their guard. Thinking that victory was in their hands, they were caught off guard as a large number of angelic armies inside and outside the temple worked together to counter the Satan army. They were all expelled from heaven and completely blocked in the 18th layer of hell.
When Trinity sealed the leader of Satan's army in hell with a wave of her left hand, her right hand tightly grasped Lucifer's left wrist. In fact, Trinity had predicted this outcome long ago. She had seen the situation where Adam and Eve stole the forbidden fruit in a multi-dimensional universe. Lucifer sent Satan's army to deceive and induce them, pretending to be angels who would take them into hell. However, Trinity did not prevent any of this from happening and let it occur naturally. Because of all of the above, Lucifer also boldly mobilized and launched a full-scale assault on heaven, so Trinity has been waiting for Satan's army to arrive.
Lucifer stared at Trinity with anger and resentment, shouting, "I hate it when you appear every time with an attitude of looking down on everyone and ruling over the world. Why did you set up a trap to capture us when you knew the outcome? This is not what great generals and gentlemen do. Why do you always control me? Why is everything I do within your predictions? Who made you demote me as a fallen angel? Why do you keep opposing me? Your obsolete feudal system is already outdated, and the pursuit of the new wave of freedom is the mainstream now. Although I temporarily failed in the last battle, my new ideology has led more than a third of the angelic army to rise up in revolution. What does this represent? It represents their desire for a change in the new regime. You, this conservative and unchanging God, I wonder how long you can keep up the fight. Your time is up, and my dynasty is about to come."
Trinity stared fiercely into Lucifer's eyes and responded with a loud and confident voice, "Are you still fighting, Lucifer? What do you want to prove now? Your fall wasn't forced by anyone else, it was your own demons. You already had everything, but unfortunately, you were afraid of losing it. Ultimately, this fear turned into anger, jealousy, arrogance, and even led you to lose yourself. I have let you go long ago. It was your obsession that caused your own suffering, and it was your resentment that caused your own downfall. If you cannot let go on your own, you will always be in the abyss. Others may not care about this, but in the end, only you will be harmed. Finally, I was never interested in setting a trap to frame you. I had already predicted the beginning and the end of things and let them happen naturally because I saw in a multi-dimensional universe that it was the inevitable choice under the natural law, and it was also the inevitable result of universal balance. Lucifer, you still have a long way to go on your road of enlightenment, and explaining it to you will not make you understand. Go back to your hell and think carefully about what I just said to you."
Lucifer was not interested in listening to Trinity's words, and her anger had already blocked her ears. Her obsession had already determined that everything Churi said or thought was just an excuse to maintain his dictatorship. You, this cruel dictator, talk about benevolence, righteousness, propriety, and wisdom, but use beautiful words to cover up the dirty politics behind it. Unless you permanently eliminate me, as long as I have one day, I will surely make a comeback and never let you have a peaceful day. Trinity, I will never stand with you. One day, I will overthrow your corrupt rule and raise the banner of our Satan freedom.
After hearing Lucifer's words, I closed eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "When I was still in the growth stage, I was once swallowed up by my inner fears, anger, and loneliness, and I fell into the abyss and entered a long period of hibernation. I saw that there are multiple universes outside of the universe. The universe is in you, and you are in the universe. The universe is both independent and united. When I was in hibernation, I saw causality and multiple possibilities, coincidences and inevitabilities. I saw death and life, I saw war and peace, I saw destruction and creation, I saw opposition and coexistence. Lucifer, I'm sorry, but you were the one I chose. Trinity had just uttered his final note when he waved his hand, sending Lucifer back to hell in an instant. He then muttered to himself, "I can only guide you this far, the rest of the journey is up to you. Goodbye, my once most proud six-winged angel. Humans never understand my arrangements until the day they can become me. When you have the ability to see the past, present, and future simultaneously, and when the fate of the entire universe is in your hands. I must work hard to maintain the balance of the entire universe, to keep it running and developing healthily. In the macro universe, each of us is an important gear in the universe. Our progress and retreat, beginning and end, inhale and exhale, all maintain the balance of everything in nature."
Trinity is like an artisan, who has to be precise and meticulous every moment, to make every gear function properly. Each gear is both independent and interdependent. The operation of these gears cannot have the slightest deviation, otherwise the balance of the entire universe will be like the butterfly effect, lost in the slightest deviation, and differing by 1,000 miles. One day in the future, he will leave heaven and return to earth in the form of a human. He will be born in a craftsman's family and tell humanity about his experiences and the hardships he has gone through. The journey of enlightenment is the only journey on earth, and he will also use his sacrifice to cleanse the original sin of human ancestors who ate the forbidden fruit.
Chapter 8: Civilization.
Humans are destined to eat the forbidden fruit because they are destined to experience death. In the days of Eden, they had no time limit, no experience of aging, no feeling of loss, and no hard work. They were born with eternity and had never experienced loss, so they could not understand the value of things. Therefore, they are destined to go through a process of awakening on earth, completing a journey about life and love.
When the Archangel Raphael expelled Lilith back to hell, he said to Adam and Eve, who had eaten the forbidden fruit, "You have broken the covenant with God, and so you cannot stay in Eden anymore. Because of your breach, the descendants of mankind will be born with original sin for generations. Only through the experience of the Son of God, sent by God to the world, can the original sin of your descendants be forgiven. You can no longer have eternal life, and you will be bound by time. You will age gradually, your body will deteriorate, and eventually you will die. You will be sent to a place called Earth, where you will become the ancestors of humanity, propagate life, and reproduce. You will have your own children, who will be born from the mother's womb through the connection of yin and yang. You will go through infancy, childhood, adolescence, youth, middle age, and finally old age, and leave this world. You will be confined to the three-dimensional space and four-dimensional space-time work on Earth, bound by time. You will need to work hard on this land, and you will experience war, disease, aging, natural disasters, and human disasters. You will also experience loss, pain, anger, envy, and death. Although some negative emotions and experiences will be repeatedly reproduced in the world, all these experiences are just a process of awakening before you leave the world through death and enter the kingdom of God. You will have a moment of rest, and I will send you to Earth through a wormhole that connects multiple universes. When you wake up again, you will find that you are standing in a place exactly like this one. But at that time, you are already on Earth, and that is a two-dimensional space exactly like Eden, where humanity originated. When you wake up again, it will be like you just had a dream. But in the future, every dream you have will be the time when your soul leaves your body and contacts with the multidimensional space. God will also use these opportunities to summon us, the archangels, to communicate with humanity and deliver messages. When you leave Eden, head eastward until you reach a plane that you consider safe to settle. God will leave a sign there, which will be the place where you and your descendants will live for generations to come. Adam, Eve, and your descendants, I wish you good luck along the way."
After experiencing thousands of years, Enoch, a grandson of Adam and Eve, was a righteous and brave man in that corrupted generation. He was also a prophet and the first bridge chosen and recognized by God to represent humanity to communicate with God. He was transformed by the great Archangel Metatron to enter the earthly realm. After several generations of development, the human population has rapidly expanded. The descendants of Adam and Eve plundered and waged war on each other in order to obtain better living conditions and resources. The law of the jungle dictated that only the strong survive, and those who couldn't occupy land were driven away and forced to expand to the east, west, north, and south. Eventually, human presence began to spread and grow. At the same time, the Legion of Lucifer had infiltrated the angel army and had deceived some of the gospel angels, causing them to become lost in the beauty of the human world. In the end, 240 angels had intercourse with human girls and gave birth to offspring. These children, the descendants of fallen angels, were a mysterious and tall race that were known as giants or Nephilim.
When the giants consumed all the food of the humans on earth, they began to betray and eat humans. The giants' personalities were inclined toward desire and destruction. At that time, there were many giants on earth, and the world was full of chaos, sex, and violence. In addition, the angels who had intercourse with humans began to teach humans how to create weapons such as swords, which spread bloodshed and injustice throughout the world. The fallen angels also began to teach humans knowledge about the sun and moon, astrology, constellations, and magic, things that humans should not have known. As humans gained more knowledge, their morality began to decline, and they began to have thoughts of going against nature and heaven. The fall and corruption of angels, humans, and giants began to brew a century-long catastrophe.
In human time, the earth has existed for 4.6 billion years. It has given birth to many large and small life forms. I separated the creation of all things into 6 stages, from the sun, moon, and stars, to flowers, trees, rivers, and mountains. Starting from single-celled organisms, from sea creatures to land creatures, and finally to creatures in the sky. Thousands of species have left their marks on Earth over the past billions of years. Human beings think they are the masters of the Earth, but their appearance has only been for a short time. In the past, there were larger species than them that were always at the top of the food chain. The disappearance of each species was to make way for the appearance of another species, to make it possible for humans to stand at the top of the biological chain on Earth today. All the giant creatures like dinosaurs had to leave the stage one after another. Their sacrifice turned into oil reserves in the crust, which are now converted into energy for humans. The reason why humans today can develop technology and wisdom so quickly is that they have acquired energy from nature. This energy easily allows humans to travel across the earth quickly, from south to north. At the same time, energy has also developed computers, which have led to the rapid development of networks. Global information is interconnected and historical stories can be accessed at any time, breaking through the limitations of time and space. I have warned humans through natural disasters such as wind, rain, and volcanic eruptions to make them understand the power and anger of nature and to stop all destruction of nature. I have also warned humans not to excessively exploit resources, pursue desires, abuse technology, or plunder in war. The decline of morality has caused nature to lose balance completely. Excessive acquisition of knowledge has made humans arrogant and delusional, and ruling humans, ruling the earth, and ruling the universe have become the desires and pursuits of some humans. They do not understand that everything they have today is given by nature, and not because humans themselves are so smart and powerful. Atlantis was once the happiest place bestowed upon humans by God, but desire and power made these humans fall. They had intercourse with fallen angels, and the giants born from this caused misery and destroyed the balance of nature. They learned technology from fallen angels and became obsessed with it. They wanted to control nature through technology and obtain more resources. The development of technology allowed humans to easily acquire information, and they began to understand the secrets of heaven. Unfortunately, this starting point was not good. Desire, ruling, and power made humans explore the truth beyond Earth. Nature has been completely destroyed, and the balance of all things has been disrupted. I will use a great flood to destroy the corruption on land and restore the original order. Nature has existed for billions of years. Earth can exist without humans, but humans cannot exist without Earth.
Chapter 9. Flood.
This is a century of extermination and great cleansing. When God saw the chaos on earth, he decided to end it all with a great flood and let everything on the ground start anew. First, God divided the army of the gospel angels into multiple teams. The first team targeted the Satan army and sent the 7 most powerful angels to suppress Satan's team in hell to prevent them from further deceiving and disturbing people on earth. The second team went to capture the 240 fallen angels that disrupted human order on earth. The third team, led by the prophet Enoch, searched for the messengers of grace on earth. The messengers are humans, giants, and other creatures scattered on earth who have not been deceived by Satan and the fallen angels. Enoch organized them together and created an ark so that they could avoid the flood and leave a new opportunity for the rebirth of the earth. They were regarded as the descendants of Enoch, and the messengers chosen by Enoch on earth were the ancestors of all creatures after the flood, and they were called the Noah tribe. With the help of gospel angels, humans, giants, and other creatures, a giant Noah's Ark was quickly built.
On the day of the flood 13,000 years ago, the sky cracked open, and rain poured down from the sky like a waterfall. Instantly, most of the land on earth was covered, and the fallen humans and giants on land were crying out in despair. Lucifer saw that the game she had been working on for years was about to be destroyed by the flood created by God, and she could not believe what she was seeing. After the complete failure of the battle with God in the Garden of Eden, Lucifer thought deeply. She decided to change her strategy from a quick attack to a slow attack, using several generations of time to infiltrate Satan's army into the core team of the gospel angels, gradually eroding them. Undoubtedly, this strategy was successful, and countless angels were tempted in the past thousands of years, including other high-ranking gospel angels. This time, the fallen humans and giants are completely originated from the 240 fallen angels guarding the earth. Unfortunately, Lucifer did not expect that God would destroy all terrestrial creatures with the flood, including the higher creatures he created, humans.
But no matter what, Lucifer had to stop this disaster immediately. She worked hard for many years to establish a shadow army on land. The world at this moment is the craziest, most decadent, and most chaotic. If she waits for a moment, a lost paradise as Lucifer's ideal will be established on land. She cannot let the huge believers on the surface disappear. She turned into a giant snake, using her own strength to repair the sky with a stone. She gathered all her energy into a huge stone, blocking the crack in the sky and preventing the rainwater from flowing out. At this time, her Satan army had been blocked by the gospel angels in the depths of the 18th floor of hell, and the 240 fallen angels had been captured by all the archangels. Now the only way to change the situation is to rely on Lucifer alone. She focused all her attention on repairing the sky with a huge stone, but at this moment, God stood behind Lucifer and said,
Lucifer, everything that happened today is caused by you. There are creatures on earth that should not have appeared, and humans are learning techniques they should not learn, which ultimately leads to the tragedy of living beings, cannibalism, and moral corruption. The laws of nature are destroyed, and humans are obsessed with material desires and abandon their souls. You have abused my tolerance for you and recklessly destroyed the order of the natural world. You do evil in hell and come to heaven to lurk and destroy in the world. How can I tolerate you today? I cannot let you continue to do whatever you want.
At this moment, Lucifer was completely focused on repairing the sky with a huge stone. She turned around and said simply, "Nonsense. God, you are built on the moral high ground. Look at how you treat life. You kill people like ants and don't shed a tear. I am now saving the sky and cannot bear to see living beings suffer in the flood. These angels and humans are all created by you. They are all like your children, but you ruthlessly destroy them one by one." God did not pay attention to Lucifer's words. He instantly rolled up a strong wind and struck Lucifer into hell, and at the same time destroyed the huge stone that blocked the flood. In the blink of an eye, Lucifer poured her anger into the boulder. The boulder was stimulated by God, and it shattered into pieces and scattered in many places on the ground, and was finally covered by the flood.
The flood submerged the earth for 150 days, until the sun reappeared, and the ark began to no longer be hit by waves and gradually anchored. After the rain and flood for many days, even after the ebb tide, the land on earth began to redistribute. At this time, the land that emerged from the water was divided into 7 continents, and God sent his 7 gospel angels to be responsible and manage the 7 continents and be the bridge to communicate with humans on behalf of God. Michael for Oceania, Gabriel for Asia, Uriel for North America, Raphael for South America, Azrael for Africa, Raquel for Europe, Remiel for Antarctica.
As for the different species that left Noah's ark, they were all messengers of grace, and they scattered around the earth with God's words in the future reborn world. They developed different languages, civilizations, cultures, and countries in their way. Although they recorded and expressed the flood in different ways, even if the language differences and interpretations were different, they were all showing the same history. At the same time, after everything was destroyed, the creation of life returned to the earth once again. After the water receded, the flowers, plants, and trees on the ground were reborn and quickly returned to the days of birds and flowers before the flood. Humans also returned to the primitive, pure, and simple life. Rather than saying that the flood was a disaster, it can be said to be a great cleansing. When everything returned to calm, the 2 poles of light and darkness would come back again. As long as there are shining souls and life, dark corners will also appear. As long as there is God in the universe, there will also be Lucifer.
Hope you enjoy the wonders and fantasies of the stories in the universe. Which part of the story is your favorite? Leave a comment below the video and let me know. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up and turn on the notification bell if you enjoy our videos. In our next chapter, we will continue to explore the universe. See you soon.